Amen. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Before I proceed to introduce myself and welcome you, I just want to have an indication of translation or interpretation. Is there anyone that requires isiXhosa? If you can just raise your hands. You want to translate that so that, yeah.
Molweni usihlalo befuna ukuqonda into ba ingaba bakhona abantu abazofuna udolukelwa mhlawumbe ngesiXhosa okanye mhlawumbe ngeAfrikaans. Uba kunjalo bangaphakamisa izandla sibabone.
Okay, there is a need for it. Thank you. Is there anyone that needs Afrikaans?
Bakhona abafuna udolukelwa ngesibhulu.
Goeiemôre dames en here, is daar iemand wat 'n behoefte het vir Afrikaanse tolkdiens? Kyk net die hand op.
No. Thank you. So we would do English and isiXhosa. Thank you very much. Once again, very good morning to all of you. My name is Brandon Pillay. I'm a member of Parliament in the National Assembly from the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs.
Molweni nonke ngalentsasa igama lami ke ngohloniphekileyo kaPillay, ndililungu kwaye ndikwangusihlalo wePortfolio Committee lesebe lezasekhaya, iHome Affairs.
I'm also the chairperson of the session and leading the delegation that's on the coastal team.
Ndim ke uzothi ukhokhele eligqiza lapha phambi kwenu namhlanje. Sithi ke bese siqale ke ngokutyelela elicala lamalwandle.
And with me this morning is Honorable Ramalobeng,
Ohloniphekileyo ngapha ngasekunene ohloniphekileyo kaRamayobeng,
Honorable Lekhwase,
ohloniphekileyo kaLekhwase,
Honorable Kanile,
ohloniphekileyo kaKhanyile,
and Honorable Tito.
nohloniphekileyo kaTito.
And this is part of the coastal team that started public hearings in KZN, and we are now in the Eastern Cape.
Le committee ke eqale ezindibano zovakaliso zimvo kulomthetho zonyulo siqale ke kwaZulu Natal ngoku ke silapha kulomjikelo ulapha eMpuma Koloni apha eGqeberha.
And just to mention that we've already conducted public hearings in KZN, Northern Cape, Free State, and now in the Eastern Cape.
Kunazisa into ba kudala ke siqalile lenkqubo siqale kwaZulu Natal, saye Northern Cape, saye Free State ngoku silapha eMpuma Koloni.
We also have a second team, that's the inland team, and that's led by the chairperson, Honorable Musa Chabane, and they have done the other 4 provinces.
Kwakhona ke ngamawele sizikomite ezimbini, sinenye ikomite enza umsebenzi ofana nalo ekhokhelwa ngohloniphekileyo kaChabane, bona ke beye bangena ke kulamaphondo lapha embindini woMzantsi Afrika.
Today, this is day 3 or final day in the Eastern Cape, and we are here in Gqeberha.
Namhlanje ke lusuku lwethu lokugqibela sikweliphondo leMpuma Koloni silapha ke kule ndawo kuthiwa iGqeberha.
Now I must get my clicking right. Gqeberha.
Njalo ke
we must correct that because some people are still calling it by its old name. So we must make sure we get it right.
masiziqhelanise ke neligama leGqeberha.
I want to acknowledge the presence of MPL Babalwa Lobisha from the provincial legislature. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Honorable Babalwa Lobisha.
Bakhona ke masipulele ubukho kwelungu lewisomthetho elisuka pha ephondweni eleMpuma Koloni ohloniphekileyo umama uBabalwa.
We also have with us today, and we are privileged, Paramount Chief Cora Hennings.
Kulela kakhulu ubukho ke kwenkosi ohloniphekileyo nanko esanda kuphakama.
Chief Brendan Billings.
UNkosi ke uBrendan Billings.
This is another Brendan, the chief, not me. And there is Chief Janine Human.
Bekho ke nenkosi uma unkosikazi ke komkanikazi nanko naye esanda kuphakama.
Thank you very much. You are all welcome.
Namkelekile.
Let me also acknowledge any other community leaders, political party representatives and leaders, civic organizations, religious leaders that may be present Thank you very much for making the time to be here with us on a Saturday, and that shows that you are committed to the change in the livelihoods of our people.
Kwakhona ke masinibulele ngokuba ninalapha ngelampelaveki. Kwakhona siqaphele mhlambe sibulele uba ikhona mhlambe ezinye inkokheli eziphakathi kwethu. Sibulela le nto yoba nikwazile ukuza apha ngomgqibelo. Loo nto ibonisa into yoba nizimisele ngokuba nitshintshe ubomi babantu boMzantsi Afrika.
So the purpose of the hearing is that Parliament has come to listen to the people, to the views of our citizens, to be able to get your suggestions, proposals, inputs, presentations on the Electoral Amendment Bill.
Injongo ke esingazo namhlanje kukuba iParlamente izile ikhokhelwa ikomiti le kuzokuva kuni ngalomthetho usayilwayo, umthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo wezonyulo. Kuzoviwa ke izimvo zenu ba nithini nina ngalomthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo.
So this very important bill, which actually speaks to the electoral system or the electoral bill in our country, has to be amended as a result of the Constitutional Court ruling on the 11th of June 2020 by the New Nation Movement.
Injongo kokuba sipelapha kukuba inkundla ephakamele yomgaqo seko ngomhla we-11 kaJuni ka-2020 yathi yawisa isigwebo sokuba kulungiswe laa mthetho ka-1998 wezonyulo.
So the New Nation Movement case and the Constitutional Court then declared that the Electoral Act of 1998 was unconstitutional in that it did not allow for individuals or independent candidates to contest the general elections.
Kwakhona soqaphela into yoba ke eli tyala ke yayilityala elaliziswe yi-New Nation Movement nabanye kwinkundla yomgaqo siseko apho bona bebesithi bayacela into yoba abagqatswa abazimeleyo nabo bakwazi ukuzigqatsela kwizikhundla zapha kwindlu yowiso-mthetho yesizwe nakwizindlu zowiso-mthetho zamaphondo.
And what this meant was that the national elections or general elections should actually accommodate for independent candidates to be elected to the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures respectively.
Izama ke kugxininisa ke lembono yokuba nabo abagqatswa aba banalo ilungelo lokuba bazigqatsele kwezaa zikhundla zase-National Assembly nase-National Council of Provinces ngolwasemzini.
And so the court gave Parliament 24 months to be able to remedy this act or to make changes so that we could be able to accommodate for independent candidates.
Inkundla yomgaqo siseko kwi-Constitutional Court yayalela iParlamente ukuba mayithi ke kwisithuba senyanga eziyi-24 ilungise la macandelo ala mthetho ka-1998 ukwenzela uba kuqukwe abagqatswa i-independent candidates.
So when you arrived this morning, you would have received two documents. One is the actual bill in its full form, and then a single page which is actually a summary of the actual bill.
Qinisekile ke apha kuni niphethe ngokube ningena nibhalisa phayana baninikile ibhili le yona eluxwebhu olukhulu kunye ke neluxwebhu ke liliphepha elinye eliyintshayelelo yalo mthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo.
So the single page allows you to understand the summarized version of the changes that needs to be made to the bill in order for the accommodation of or inclusion of independent candidates.
Le memorandum ke iliphethana elinye iyanikrobisa ke iyanibonisa into yoba zeziphi ezinye izinto ezifuna ukulungiswa kule bill.
So the Minister of Home Affairs then introduced the bill to Parliament on the 10th of January. We then opened for public comments, and this was after it was translated into all official languages. We called for public comments from the 21st of January 2022 to the 21st of February, after which we then allowed for oral submissions. And there were 13 organizations or individuals who then made oral submissions over 2 days via a virtual platform.
Umphathiswa ke wesebe lezasekhaya wathi ke wazisa lo mthetho sihlomelo uyilwayo wezonyulo eParlamente ngomhla we-10 kaJanuwari kulo nyaka suphetheyo. Kwathi ke emva koko ke ngokupapashwa kumajelo ezendaba ngomhla kwaguqulwa kwakhona kuzo zonke ulwimi zoMzantsi Afrika kwenziwa izaziso zokuba abantu mabeze nezimvo zabo. Oko ke kwabekelwa ukuqala ngomhla we-21 kaJanuwari ukuya kwi-21 kaFebruwari kulo nyaka siwuphetheyo. Kwaze ke ngoku emva koko kwabakho umjikelo apho kwabakho imibutho elishumi elinesithathu, 13, eyathi ke yeza nezimvo yavela phambi kwekomiti isiza ke nezayo izimvo.
Briefly, the draft proposal or the draft bill proposes an amendment to the Electoral Act to include independent candidates in the national and provincial legislatures.
Eyona nto iphambili ke kulo mthetho sihlomelo uyilwayo phambi kwenu kukuba uqukwe i-independent candidate kwazi ukuzigqatsela izikhundla phaya kwi-National Assembly nakwi-National Council nakwizindlu zowiso-mthetho zamaphondo, i-provincial legislature.
So we're now going to start with the public hearings, and I just want to outline a few things. First of all, there are no right or wrong answers, and every person's view is valuable and will be taken into consideration when we are finalizing our reports and to be able to include that in our submissions before deliberations. Also important to note that none of the members of parliament or the panel that's here will ask any questions or respond to any of the presentations that you make.
Kwakhona ke bantu bakuthi sizawuqalisa ke ngoku le abantu sobanika ngokwithuba lokuba bathethe into yoba bawubona njani ukuba makwenziwe oluphi utshintsho, kodwa ke nazi into ezibalulekileyo. Xa umntu ephaya asizumgxeka sithi hayi uthetha into engekhoyo okanye uthetha into ebalulekileyo. Zonke izimvo zenu zibalulekile, noba i-right noba irongo masinyamezelane njengabemi boMzantsi Afrika. Nangoko ke ndiyabona sine-members zepalamente eziphakathi kwethu nazo azuzukuthatha inxaxheba ke zona kule nkqubo, siza kumamela. Zithi ke ngoku emva koko kudityaniswe zonke ezi zimvo zenu ziyoxoxa phaya epalamente.
And members of parliament are here to listen. And I also want to outline that we have not made any decision. We are still conducting public participation. In fact, today is our last day in Eastern Cape. We then move to the Western Cape. That's the final province. And thereafter, we will compile a report after conducting all of the hearings for presentation to the Portfolio Committee to deliberate on.
Kwakhona ke nto zakuthi ndifuna ukutsho into yobana ke amalungu epalamente nawo ke akazuthatha nxaxheba njengoba benditshilo. Emva koku ke ngoku sizokudibanisa le ngxelo singamalungu epalamente siyidandalazise phambi kwe-National Assembly. Yiloo nto ke amalungu epalamente nawo engazuthatha inxaxheba okwangoku. Kwaye siyikomiti asikathathi isigqibo esithi hayi ezi independent candidates mhlawumbi maziqhube ngohlobo nohlobo nohlobo. Thina nje okokwethu ukumamela dibanise zonke izimvo siyikomiti sizidibanise sizenze zibe yingxelo.
I also ask that you respect the views of all speakers. Like I said, there's no right and wrong. You may not agree with some of the speakers and some of the things that they may say, but please respect that, because every person is entitled to their own views and opinions. So we want to treat each other with respect and appreciate that people have taken the time to come here today and make submissions.
Umgaqo siseko ke uMzantsi Afrika uthi ke wonke umuntu unelungelo lokuthetha ngokukhululekileyo. Ngoko ke asizokucela sibongoze into yoba sinyamezelane xa sizothi ke ngoku sivakalise izimvo njengabemi boMzantsi Afrika.
Due to time constraints, we have to have a time limit. So speakers will be allowed between 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the number of speakers we have. If you exceed your time, the chairperson will cordially ask you to wrap up. And if you still don't wrap up, then I will have to ask you to stop.
Bantu bakuthi ke soninika imizuzu emithathu kuya kwemihlanu xa nizothi ke nivakalise izimvo zenu, kodwa uba uyagqithela ngaphaya usuhlalo ke uzothi akukhombe into yobana noko zama unciphisa intetho yakho.
For the purposes of translation, we will do a summary of your presentation so that we don't interrupt your line of thought. Secondly, all our mics, the mic that you're speaking from will be sanitized before and after. For the purposes of speaking at the mic, I ask that you remove your mask so that we can hear you clearly and audibly, but we also have sign language interpretation. Very important, we are still in the midst of a pandemic, and I would appreciate if you respect the social distancing or physical distancing that we have in the hall, remain in the allocated seat, ensure that your mask is on, covering both your nose and your mouth at all times, to only remove it when you're having water or when you're speaking.
Kwakhona ke into zakuthi masiqaphele into yoba njengoba sinabatoliki sinetoliki ezilapha uzonikwa ithuba lokuba uthethe itoliki yona izokwenza isishwankathelo semiba othe wayichaphazela ebalulekileyo. Kwakhona ke sisaphila phantsi kwalo bhubhane wecorona, siyacela into yoba sinxibe imask ngawo onke amaxesha kwaye ke kubekho umgama phakathi kwabantu. Kwakhona ke sinayo netoliki ke yezandla phaya sign language nayo ke ikhona phaya. Into ezokwenzeka ke inje into yoba sinomntu ozosanitizer qho xa isithethi siphuma phaya embokweni.
We also have with us Parliament staff that's recording the proceedings. So if you have a presentation that you think is quite long, you can speak to it or summarize it and give us the salient points and then submit a written submission. However, if you do not speak to it, we won't be allowed to accept a presentation. So we only accept written presentations or submissions from someone who speaks here today.
Kwakhona soqaphela into yoba ke sinamagosa akhaphe amalungu epalamente azota rekhode zonke intetho ezilapha nokuba mhlawumbi uthi umuntu uyavumelana uba makube kuthini okanye malungabikho. Ngoko kuba umuntu unentetho ende othetha apha unelungelo loba ayigqithiseleke kulamagosa epalamente kwaye ke ixwebhu lizokuthathwa kwabo bathe bathatha inxaxheba apha.
And can I please ask staff that those persons who are entering now, if we ask them to sit on my left to the hall so that we are able to, and we also don't interrupt those that are already seated here. Thank you. We are now going to start. So the center row where you see I think it's black from where I'm standing. Is it blue? Okay. The chairs, the padded chairs that are in the center aisle are for speakers. Once I identify you, you take the first seat and you move in that order. So that we don't interrupt. We just take the first round of presentations. So can I see by a show of hands who would like to present or make a submission on the amendment bill?
Cela sizoqalisa ke ngulo mjikelo sicela abo banqwenela ukuthatha inxaxheba baphakamise izandla.
Sure. So I'm going to start on this side of the room. Sir, can you take the first seat? Can you take the second seat? The third? Number 4 with the white, number 5 with the red. Yeah? Okay, then let me move over here. Chief, can you take the next seat? Yes, ma'am. You, the two of you in front. Yes. The both of you. The lady with the blue mask and the mustard hat. You had your hand up. Is that? Yes, ma. You can go through. Go through. And the person next to you also. Thank you. It's a gentleman. Yes, sir. Yes, you can. Yeah. All right. And then there's someone with the green and there's, yes, the two of you. Please make your way there. MPL. Okay, so we'll take you after this row. Thank you. Okay, I just want to see if there's any more chairs in this row. Are there any more chairs? One more. There's a gentleman with the, yes, that gentleman. Okay, we'll come back to you in the next round. Yeah, but we'll end with. No. We'll just take this, and we'll start with MPL for the next group. Okay, so I saw there were 2 other people, and I'll come back to you in the next round. Before you start, very important. We are.
Phambi kokuba siqale bendicela nje ubeka imiba ethile.
We are here to address the Electoral Amendment Bill.
Silapha namhlanje sisothetha ngomthetho sihlomelo.
We will not take any service delivery matters or issues.
Asizanga kuthetha ngemiba yenkonzo zaseluntwini.
And anything outside submissions on the actual bill itself, I will then stop you.
Ukuba uthetha ngento engahambelani nalo mthetho sihlomelo singawo namhlanje ndiza kukuqhawula ndingusihlalo.
We have to be focused and address only the Electoral Amendment Bill.
Bendicela sihlale emxholweni walento singayo namhlanje.
Thank you very much, sir. You may proceed. All that I will do from now is just call the next speaker and the next speaker. I will not ask any questions or unless if you are going off the topic or you're going out of order.
Into endiza kuyenza kukukumisa xa uphuma emxholweni walento singayo namhlanje.
Yes, sir. Can you please take the podium? Yes, yes.
Honorable members of Parliament, members of the public, I stand here as to make an independent contribution to this. According to what I know, this bill still does not adequately address the problems of constitutionality.
Sorry, sir. Sorry. I think maybe because I forgot to say this. So when you start, please introduce yourself so that, and I'm just saying for the benefit of everyone. So you give us your name for record purposes. Also, if you are representing an organization, a collective, a political party, a residents association, or if you are an individual just here and your individual capacity, please let it be known because it's important for us to say there was a collective that someone came to present on behalf of a group of people. Secondly, also to indicate whether you are in support of the amendments or you are not in support of the amendments.
Into ebalulekileyo endilibeleyo ukuyithetha ngoku bendiqala yeyokubana xa ulapha embokweni uthetha sicela uchaze igama lakho nombutho osuka kuwo okanye uchaze ukuba ungumntu ozithethelayo ozimeleyo. Lento ibaluleke kakhulu ukuthi malungu aseParliament njengokuba simamele izimvo zenu. Sicela umuntu azazise igama ifani nombutho asuka kuwo okanye atsho ukuba yena uzimele. Atsho futhi ukuba na umuntu uyawuxhasa na lo mthetho uyilwayo okanye akawuxhasi. Enkosi.
Okay. Honorable members of Parliament and members of the public. My name is Rolf Pretorius. I am an independent and I come forward with an independent proposal for law that I believe is the ideal solution. I do not support the bill in its current form because I think it still does not address the problems of constitutionality adequately. In order to do that, first of all, the voters will have to be able to choose between party candidates and independent candidates. If they choose between a party and independent candidates, we believe that is not going to be fair. And secondly, also, the independents currently does not compete on the proportional list system like the national proportional list, and I think that has to change too. Now, the trouble with open list is that then the constituencies can't be too big. Then it becomes impractical. And therefore, now in 2002, the Electoral Task Team proposed a solution to that is perfectly workable. And everything they said is still applicable today. Only the independent candidates will have to be included with all its implications, and the open list also. But they envisage that open list may come later. So their system was actually tailor-made for them. And now, if I've already mentioned a few things that need to be implemented, but then if you if independent candidates are put in place, then there are two other issues that needs to be addressed. That is, the first of all, the fact that if an independent candidate is popular and gets more than the quota, then votes are going to get lost. The excess votes are going to get lost. So I propose that, and also the second issue that comes also with it is the problem of succession of independent candidates. If that independent candidate, the independent public representative, he becomes a public representative and he passes away, who replaces him? Now, I believe that the idea of the lists of beneficiaries for independence that was proposed in the private members' bill of Lekota perfectly solves all of this. And if all of this is implemented, then it actually addresses all the current concerns. There isn't going to have to be any bigger ballot papers. That's going to be no problem, because the ETT constituencies is limited to 7 seats per constituency, and the proportionality is still there. And I have read that some people think that it is going to lead more to coalition politics and so on, but our current system is going to lead to that anyway. So it's going to be making no difference. So I believe that.
So you need to wrap up. Thank you.
I believe that we have to solve all the problems now, rather than to risk that it goes back to the Constitutional Court again. And I also believe that although I can understand that political parties may be scared of the open list, I believe that implementing that will actually do a lot more for them to get their voters back to vote for them again, contrary to what happened in November. Now, I have made a full proposal here that I've just very shortly summarized, so I think I'll hand this over.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, you can hand it over to the staff. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Molweni, igama lam nguRuth Pretorius. Ndize apha namhlanje ndizimele, andihambi nambutho. Mna andiwuxhasi lo mbutho ngoba ndicinga ukuba lo mthetho awuhambelani nomgaqo-siseko. Abantu abavotayo baza kunyanzeleka ukuba bakhethe phakathi kwemibutho kunye nabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Andiyiboni kakuhle le nto. Abagqatswa abazimeleyo kufuneka nabo bafumane intlonipho efanayo nee-political parties, imibutho yepolitiki. Ngaphezulu koko, umgqatswa ozimeleyo xa esweleka sivalwa njani isikhewu sakhe? Ndibona iingxaki ezininzi ngalo mthetho uyilwayo, andiwuxhasi. Enkosi.
Thank you. Before we take the next speaker, let me acknowledge the presence of MPL Honorable Tamara Anti. Can you just, thank you. Chief Sol Wandela. Is it? Thank you, thank you. And there are councillors from the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality that are here with us. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. This is Kululi Jebe, provincial leader of the Eastern. I must take the opportunity to greet everyone that is here, all protocol observed. As an EFF, we don't support the bill as it stands for a couple of reasons. One, we don't believe that IEC is ready, as well as Parliament administrative. We all have witnessed how the elections are run, and now this thing of independent candidates is going to create more problems because of our inefficiency in administration. Number two, the bill as it stands, it doesn't strengthen our democracy. It can be easily infiltrated by those who have money, who can control independent candidates that do not have a collective. So they can easily infiltrate our oversight as well as legislation processes. However, as we all know that Constitutional Court has already put a position on the bill. We put in the following submission. The candidates, since the Constitutional Court has got a position that they must participate, they will have to have a higher threshold in order for them to participate, so that we can minimize the number of participants that are going in, to avoid thousands of people going into the list unnecessarily. Maybe we can say 20,000 or 50,000. And that threshold must be received from the people who are registered and who are eligible to vote. Not just any ordinary person who is a South African but who does not take elections seriously. And they will give us a mandate who must do what, but they don't go and register. Number two, we are saying as an EFF, the deposit that is required for the candidates must be equivalent to the party. Because if they are willing to participate and contest in the same playing fields as the political party, they must have the financial capacity to do that only. So we must not be selective. Same deposit that must be paid. Also, we strongly discourage the by-elections in terms of if one member who is elected as an independent, when he or she passes away. Because if we have those by-elections, it simply means that the country is going to be on a swing of elections throughout the term, because death on its own and resignations, we cannot predict who will die, who will resign when. There will be circumstances that cause that, and we might have by-elections every year or every month. Nobody knows. And then my last point will be, if we decide that those thresholds are high enough, we will be able to minimize the number of those people that are going to participate. The higher the threshold will give us better space to administer. I would also like to submit the input so that in case it is not captured properly, can have. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili, igama lami ngumkhululi, ndiyinkokheli yalapha ephondweni yombutho i-EFF. Thina siyi-EFF asiwuxhasi lo mthetho. Sibona ukuba i-IEC kunye nepalamente leyo ayinaso isakhono sokukwenza ukuba lo mthetho wenzeke ngendlela eyiyo. Lo mthetho awuyixhasi intando yesininzi idemocracy. Ngoko ke inkundla yomgaqo siseko sele isenzile isokokubana abagqatswa abazimeleyo balungile ukuba bazimele unyulo. Thina siyi-EFF sicebisa ukuba aba bagqatswa abazimeleyo mabafakelwe imiqathango eyiyo ukuze bakwazi ukukhankasa, kodwa mabangakhankasi nje, makubekho imiqathango emileyo ezawubonakalisa ukuba aba bantu bayaxhaswa luluntu ukuba bazimele xa befuna ukunyulwa eluntwini. Sicebisa ukuba inani lokuxhasa kwabo makuqinisekiswe ukuba noko umntu olapha uluntwini makalandelwe ngabantu abangamanani u-20,000 to 50,000 ebonakalisa ukuba nangona engumgqatswa ozimeleyo, intando yesininzi or intando yoluntu uhamba nayo ukhethwe ngabantu. Kwakhona siyayikhankasa into okokubana ii-by-elections xa umntu eswelekile engumgqatswa ozimeleyo, siyacela kwipalamente ukuba ikhe ijongwe le nto kuba izawuphela isenza imeko yokuba kuzawuhlalwa kunyulwa abantu oko ngenxa yabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Enye into esiyigxininisayo yokuba kuba aba bantu sebekhethile ukuba bazazimela, makufunwe imali elinganayo namaqembu ezopolitiko kuba kaloku bazikhethele ukuba baza kuba ngabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Ngoko ke imiqathango yezeqembu yezopolitiko mayifane nabo yabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Enkosi kakhulu.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honourable members and leaders and people of the public. It's a privilege and honour for me to be before you this morning. My name is Dirk van der Meest. I'm a local pastor. I head up Mandela Bay Community Movement, MBCM, which is an organization that brings together independent. So as that, I represent MBCM, and also I'm a member of One South Africa Movement. The current bill as it stands, MBCM cannot support based on the following reasons. In 1955, the Freedom Charter was set out, and the tenets of that charter set out that the people shall govern. They also said that every man and woman shall have the right to vote for and stand as candidate for all bodies which makes laws. And that is what this bill supports in allowing independent candidates to be able to stand and represent their communities. Based on the judgment made by Justice Madlanga on the 11th of June in 2020, the electoral bill in its current form was pointed out as being unconstitutional, and hence this process had started. What is called for is a total electoral reform and not just for independents to stand. And as MBCM, what we're proposing is a total electoral reform and not just simply allowing independents to stand. What builds up and leads to this is the following. The people needs to govern. Every person should have the right to stand for election, local and national, and constituencies should be created as opposed to the current system. Proportionality should prevail, and greater accountability to the voters should be made a central feature of a new electoral system. The People's Bill drafted by the Honourable Lekota did do an outstanding job of taking these points into consideration and putting these principles into practice. So did the work compiled by the Ministerial Advisory Committee as set out in their report. Then the executive bill gets presented, which is a 15-page document, and all that it does is make it possible for independents to stand. The executive bill does not allow for constituency system, which both the People's Bill and the MAC report include. This needs to be addressed. When we analyze it, the executive bill is rushed through Parliament. When we arrive here, we only present it with the executive bill as if it's the only one that exists. And when there's been clear communication in leading up to this process that this should be an opportunity to inform people and allow people access to information. This process has highlighted the government's approach to ticking box and not asking what is in the best interest of our country and what is the legacy that we are leaving for our children. Are we creating a future for our children that we can be proud of and that we will set them up for success? But instead we're serving an agenda and we continue to do window dressing. The executive bill makes it possible for independents to stand in the national election, but it makes it impossible for them to compete on equal footing with parties. Based on the last election's result, the independent movement represents the 5th largest voting constituency in the country. This bill in its current form only allows independents to compete for 200 out of the 400 positions. It puts extra hurdles in place that will make it extremely difficult for an independent to garner signatures and deposits to be paid. I agree with signatures, and that at least clears the people that are really going to impact, are passionate about making a future, and those that simply want to participate in a process with no future. When we use a mathematical model based on previous elections, we see that a person needs to have, on average, 50,000 votes to get a seat. An independent could get 80,000 votes, which means that 30,000 votes would be lost. This again benefits parties. What we are also saying is that 30,000 people spend 6 hours in a queue to have a vote, and we're ignoring those votes.
So you have to wrap up.
Thank you. I'm nearly done. When at the same time, parties that only managed to get 28,000 votes got seats in parliaments because of proportionality. This is what the bill is saying to the 5th largest voting constituency in South Africa, and this is only after 2 years of independent movement being on the table. This is exactly why not just the ruling party, but the majority of parties would want to applaud the executive bill, because it weakens the following: direct representation, accountability, and transparency. The only way that we are going to build on these, which is needed to take our country forward, is by looking at the comments of the people in the report and do a complete electoral reform and allow people of South Africa to govern through direct representation, which is what the independent movement is all about.
Thank you very much. If you want to, do you have a submission? Yes, thank you.
Molweni, igama lam nguDek van der Merch. Ndililungu Nelson Mandela Bay Community Movement. Ndikwanguye umfundisi. Ndikhokhele abantu abangabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Ndikwalilo ilungu le-One South Africa Movement. Ndiyabona ukuba lo mthetho uzama ukuxhasa abagqatswa abazimeleyo. Kodwa ndibona ukuba masingagxininisi kuloo nto qha. Masitshintshe wonke umthetho wozonyulo, hayi indawo yabagqatswa abazimeleyo kuphela. Zininzi ingxaki endizibonayo ngezonyulo, makutshintshwe yonke into. Ndibona ukuba lo mthetho awulungisi nto. Abagqatswa abazimeleyo abasekwa ngulo mthetho. Yiloo nto ke ndisithi mna andiwuxhasi lo mthetho. Enkosi.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Izibusele kwiparlament abantu abakhoyo ngapeni nonke abantu basekhaya iza njengomntu osenelanxeba kodwa ke nawulungisa akholwa
Can I please ask you to remove the mask so that we can be able to hear you clearly?
ndiza njengomntu osenelanxeba lo sonzakala ndilipluko ndingubile wakwanophathi ililungu le-ANC ngomntu onzakeleyo sekuyo kameko sakhala nangokudala sithi akunguko andiyazi kwabe nini na kodwa ndibuhlungu kakhulu andiyazi noba funeka mhlawumbi ndife ukuze mhlawumbi le nto ilunge urhulumente ndandithe iinto zam jemile kodwa ndiyacela urhulumente ke nisenzele le nceba le meko idlule yiye kule nto ndiyacela sibe nabo abaxhasi mani abazathi basimele cela abaxhasi abazathi enkosi.
Thank you.
Good morning, President, and all protocol observed. My name is Thobile Nopadula. Chairperson, I am still aggrieved That's what I want to put across. I am an ANC member in good standing, but Chair, I am standing here to air my complaint regarding the land issue. That land issue is still affecting us, and we want our land back. For instance, Chair, everything that I own is jammed because I cannot move forward because I don't have land.
I'm going to just hold it there. Unfortunately, I don't understand isiXhosa. If not, I would have been able to stop the presenter. But seeing as you've already told me that the issue is around land, you don't need to continue with translation.
Okay, but in his conclusion, he indicated that he supports the notion of
Okay,
independent
so you
candidate.
give us that part that is only related to the bill.
I support, say, as I conclude that we must have independent candidates.
Thank you. And please, can you please say this again, that we are not taking any other matters related to service delivery, to parliament, to government, to political parties, except for this bill.
Kwakhona ndifuna ukugxininisa bantu bakuthi into yoba namhlanje sizothetha ngalomba womthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo wezonyulo. Ukuba uze ngezikhalazo zenkonzo nepalamente, leyo into ungayibekela elinye ixesha. Namhlanje sizokujongana nje nalomthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo wezonyulo. Ndiyacela kuloo ndawo.
And I'm going to rely on the two of you to indicate to me if a speaker is not on the topic. Thank you. You may proceed, Chief.
Botani inguzolile wasile one ivela noba athi apho khona bazi ukapha African khona na apho khona thetha umthetho siyavumelana ngoba lo mthetho ulela bonke abantu. Kukho abantu abangakwaziyo ukuthatha imbono zabo. Umzekelo, kwaba abantu bapha ekuhlaleni izinto, bakhona abantu baba bafuna ukwanyula bebengakwazi ukubenyula kuba umzekelo omnye umuntu akakho sepati, ngumntu nje othanda into yoba anyule loo mntu ululutho phaa ekuhlaleni. Into enzekayo ke ngoku lo mthetho ndicinga uba mna uzawuya phaa kanye phaa kwiimpula zikalujaca, ngoba kukho abantu baziimpula zikajaca abaphaa ezantsi. Izinto zikarhulumente ziphelela kwaba bantu bakwipolitiki, aziyi apho khona kufuneka khona ziye kanye phaa ebantwini. Lo mthetho kuzawukwazi into yoba uDlamini lo ume apha, ukuba ngaba mhlawumbi abantu baye bakholwa nguwe, bapraktise ilungelo labo abantu, bathi hayi thina sifuna uDlamini ngoba uDlamini ncakasa uza kanye kule nto le thina isityayo apha ekuhlaleni. Nawubona amalungu epalamente amatyeli amaninzi abantu bahleli banyevulela urhulumente. Imbangi banyevulela urhulumente azizi ezi zinto bazifunayo apha, babe aba bantu ingabe belilizwe. Ngangoko ke mna ndiyawubulela lo mthetho, ngoba lo mthetho awungqalisanga kwezopolitiki, unika isidima nesihomo umntu walapha eMzantsi Afrika ewonke. So lo mthetho mawuhambe kakuhle uye kunjani nje ndiyawuthandazela mawupase, ngoba aba bethi lo mthetho abawufuni kuba ufavorishela bona. Awuyi kwiimpula zikalujaca, iimpula zikalujaca zona ziyalila nangoku, zililela izinto zazo, but akukho mntu ubameleyo ababawelibona uba phantsi kwe-political party. Ngaloo mazwi ndiyabulela, ndithi enkosi Camagu.
Thank you.
Greetings, Honorable Chair, and all protocol observed. My name is Chief Zolile Solwandle. For record purposes, I stand to support this amendment bill. I want also to mention that I'm a pastor in African religion and also in moral regeneration. I believe that this bill will open opportunities for those who want to be elected as independent candidates. I must also allude to the fact that this bill, if it is passed, it will also benefit the poorest of the poor. Those who are opposing the bill, it is because they are not going to benefit because they are enriching themselves most of the time. I support Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Kaikwas. Kaikwas is just good morning in our indigenous language. Thank you to the committee and everybody today. My first point will be that I'm not in favor of this bill. Reason being, we are creating a secure income for those retired teachers, pastors, and ex-politicians. As we look at our community here in Nelson Mandela, I'm sorry to mention it, but there's no service due to infighting in our community. And those small parties, including the independent candidates, is also keeping us ransom. We are battling to get a budget through just because of this Mickey Mouse small manyanya parties and independent parties, candidates. So my point is clear, my leader. I am not in support of this. We, as the peoples of Nelson Mandela, we need positive leaders, leaders that are honorable, leaders that really care for the community, not worry about their financial future. And most of these leaders standing for independence, they fail to have the ability to take the people forward. And they don't even come to the people and explaining to the people their limitations. So I'm strongly against the bill, and I ask also the committee not to give this independent movement of parliament more power, because the chaos that is created in our municipalities will be also taken to national and will become to more chaos for us. I thank you.
Thank you. Sir, can you just repeat your name? This is one of the chiefs. I have his name. Fine, that's fine.
Is that right?
Thank you.
Just forgot to mention that our written submission will be done with our secretary at a later stage. I thank you.
Sorry.
Okay,
Your Majesty,
I just
what's
need to
your name?
correct that, Chief. There can't be any later date for submissions.
During the day.
No, I'm saying if you are here and you present, you must be able to give us that presentation.
After this.
Sorry, Majesty. What is your name? Molweni nonke sihlalo ingqanga nentsibazayo. Igama lam ndingunkosi uKora Allenings. Ndime apha ke ndichasana nokuba kubekho ababagqatswa abazimeleyo. Kuba kaloku kuzokuthi kuxhamle abo babeziititshala okanye abo babengabafundisi njalo njalo. Kwaye xa sinokuthi sibathatha aba bantu abazukwazi ukuphendula ngemisebenzi yabo xa sibenyulele kwezi zikhundla. Thina ke siluluntu lwaseGqeberha sifuna iinkokheli ezinenkathalo nezisebenzela uluntu. Ndiyayicela ke le komiti into yobana ke ingayithathi le mbono yoba kubekho abagqatswa abazimeleyo. Enkosi, ndiyayigxininisa loo ndaba.
Thank you very much, Ma. You may proceed.
Molweni mhlali ngaphambili. Mandivuyele ubona abantu abakhulu baseParliament abasambeleyo ngale mina namhlanje. Lo ume kule ndawo mna ndingumama uBhusaka. Sisuka kaWard 27. phantsi kombutho weSANQ. Ndime kule ndawo ndizothi mna ndisisiqu andivisisisi ncam le nto le mibutho imane isangena, ngoba kaloku okokuqala kwa aba bantu bavusa le mibutho akhange bahle apha ezulwini, baphume emibuthweni yabo ngezizathu zabo. Lisiko ke labantwana xa umntana engamfuni uhayi kokwabo ukhetha uphuma ayozimela ibobosi lakhe, kodwa seme elabobosi lakhe lizawuvuka ikakade lakhe ngoba akamfuni uhayi. Ndizothi mna ndisesi siqu ndiphuma kulaa mbutho wam andivisisisi kamandi, andixhasi into yale mibutho, ngoba kaloku siva kabuhlungu thina xa sibukela iTV sibona izinto ezenzekayo eTVini zisenziwa ngabantu abakhulu ngoba ingobantwana. Imosi yabo banemizi yabo benza izinto ezimasikisi. Siva kabuhlungu ke thina ngoba ngoku sijonge engcwabeni. Enkosi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to you and the entire committee. My name is Joyce Posakwe from Ward 27. I am a SANCO member. I do not quite comprehend the issue of independent candidates. My reasoning for this is because these people do not emerge out of nowhere. They have left organizations that they formed part of, but because they have been defeated by their own internal processes in their own organization, they find an escape to become independent candidates. This creates a lot of chaos, and I do not comprehend how these independent candidates can make our democracy strong. So I, as Joyce Posakwe, do not support this bill because I believe that these independent candidates are using this ability to become independent candidates to foster an environment where they put themselves first and not the communities. They are using this for self-gain and nothing more. This is very disheartening to me as a person who lives in a community where I see a lot of poverty and squalor. And I want to say to the committee strongly that I do not agree with this bill.
Thank you very much. You may proceed, sir.
Ulwezingokeni igama lam ndinguThemba izinto esenimi nam ndisuka ka-Ward 27 aya me as uchairperson SANCO ewadini ka-27 bulela amaqabane besifikele phaa ngolwesithathu athi asuka kwa-national asizamile usichazela ke into yoba funeke sizokwenza ntoni apha. Naw sizokwenza loo nto sibuyele back ezibhrentshini sowuthetha naba bantu sibakhokeleyo sibacela ngale nto besiyiphathwe ngunational. Maqabane mna andinayo-experience mna ye-independent, andinaye umntu endake ndeva ngaye onento akhe wayenza yabonakala to the community back kwindawo yonke. So yile nto ke ngoku ndisithi mna ndingakhange ndibe na-experience, ndingakhange ndibone nto yakhe yenziwa ngumntu ngumntu ozimeleyo, hayi mna andihambisani nayo, andifuna uba ndiwenze mali, andihambisani nayo. Bona makabone uba mabenze njani. Bona mna makabuyele emibuthweni yabo, umntu makabuyele embuthweni, umntu ekufuneke simnyulile makaphume from i-organization. Ngosi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Themba Izinto. I am the chair of SANCO in Ward 27. We thank Parliament for this opportunity, and we have gone out to our branches to talk about this bill. As a person who is a community leader, I cannot account for independent candidates. I do not know what they stand for, and I cannot stand here today and speak about independent. My view is each person must belong to a political party in order for them to be elected as a leader of the community. All those people who are independent must go back to their respective and canvass to be leaders of communities through their respective political parties. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Mandizibulisele mnumzana weParlamente. Ndinovuyo bonjuku. Yile nto nizokuyenza ngoku. Endicinga into yoba mna kuqala mandizicele into yoba ndinguMatthews Phiwo Gqobile. Ndiphuma kwaWard 41 eJoslovo phantsi kokhansila uLawu kwebhadlileyo apha engqondweni net ngale periodana. Ithi ke loo nto bantu bakuthi xa bebesinomamelana kakuhle apha asingobantwana sonke. Ngoba le mibutho ngoku imane ivela ngokuvela. Mna ndiyi-ANC, ndizelwe ngo-1944 ukuza ngoku. Akukho mntu unonditshintsha ke, nam andisoze ndizitshintshe. Ndithi ndingumvulane ndizenze umndungwane. Ithi ke loo nto Palamente entle torhwana xa bebesinowuvana singachithi nexesha apha phambi kwale Loudtailor. Sicele nje ba ubucorruption akufunekanga sibongeze. Sidinwe bubucorruption bemibutho yethu. Phinde vyeri siphinde abaleke laa mntu obecorrupt azofuna uzongena apha azimele geqe. Mlumkele uyingozi uzaba worse ubucorruption eSouth Africa. Sidikwe ngubo bubo ngoku ubucorruption. Tata, mama, please ndiyayicela mayiyekwe ifake u-X yonke le nto beniyicinga ningakhange nizogqitha kuthi kuqala uba nicinga ukwenza le nto. Nifuna usixelela ngoku into yoba nifuna into yoba kubekho abanye abantu abazomosha. Ithi loo nto Palamente uyayithanda le nto yomosha. Mayiphele. Mayihlale kule mibutho iyiyo ngolu hlobo iyiyo. Masingacengani apha simane sintantamisana nento erongo eziswa ngabantu abaneemfuno zabo abadikwe ukwenza le nto bayixelelwayo ngurhurumente into yoba mabayenze. Hayi ndiyayicela abantu bakuthi ningandenzi into. Hayi phofu noba ungandibulala sendina 78 years andinawari. Ndigqibile kwam. Enkosi.
Ngiyabonga. So much of passion. I hope that you do justice to interpreting, yeah? Please.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Matthews Phiwo Gqobile. I am from Ward 1, Joslovo. I come from an area with a very brilliant council. My view is all these political parties which are emerging is a concern to me. My main concern is that corruption is very tiring. The same corrupt people who leave their political party come to stand as independent. I am saying that this is a problem because we are going to deal with the very same corrupt people who are going to stand as independent candidates. I want to say to the committee that please cancel this whole process. It is as though you are agreeing that we must accept that corrupt people who leave their organization are going to come back to us as communities and stand as independent candidates. I'm saying, as I stand here, that I don't think that we should be even talking or discussing this. You should just cancel this whole process and allow people to come from credible organizations so as to stand as people who have a background of an organization. So I'm pleading with you, Chairperson, and this committee, that you just close and cancel this whole process and agree that this bill will only cause chaos and disruption in our community.
Thank you. I said I won't respond, but it's so important. It can't be closed and it can't be just shelved because we are acting on a court order. Just to clarify, that the court has already ruled that we must amend the electoral bill to accommodate for independence. So unfortunately at this stage, I feel your passion, Baba. Even the previous speaker before you, I could hear by your tone of voice that you are quite concerned and passionate about why it shouldn't be independents and collectives. But I just want you to know that we're here to make these amendments as a result of a court order that said we had to include independence.
Xolo ke mdala wena busandothetha ndifuna ukuqinisekisa njengosihlalo ndilungise nje le ndawana into yoba asinokwazi ukuyiphelisa le nkqubo yezindibano zinje zovakaliso zimvo kuba kaloku inkundla yomgaqo-siseko isinikile isigwebo esithi masibaquke abagqatswa abazimeleyo kwinkqubo yezonyulo. Xolo kuloo ndawo.
But also be rest assured that we are recording your dissatisfaction and your comments and your submission about independence.
Funa ukuqinisekisa into yobana ke apha yonke le imeko yenzeka namhlanje iyarekhodwa kwaye nezimvo zakho zithathelwe ingqalelo.
I also want to just plead with the speakers that will come to try and speak closer to the mic. I did receive a message from someone who's viewing on the, we have live streaming, by the way, and we're also on YouTube and Parliament TV. So that they're not audible in terms of the community representation that's presenting. And also if we can just pick up the mics and the comms team can also just, because the live stream is not clear from what I've received.
Bakhona ke kwizithethe ezilandelayo ndizawunicela into yoba nisondele phaa kwimic xa nithetha kuba ndihletyelwe ngomnye umntu uyibukele le nkqubo ivelile eTV-ni kumabona nakwezinye ke nakwamanye amajelo afana nooYouTube njalo njalo. So siyacela into yoba xa uphaya usondele kwimic kwenzele into yoba ukwazi ukuvala kuba le nkqubo iyarekhodwa.
Thank you, Ma. You may proceed.
Molweni, ndinguHombakazi, ndingowakwaBhefile, ndisuka kwi-community ekuthiwa iJosiovo Communal Property Association kwa-Ward 41. Ingqanga ke nentsiba zayo. Kule bhili ke bekhona umuntu bekwafika phaa kuthi ezobriefa. And then kule briefing sathi dathi xa ndiyijonga mna le bill ndaqonda uba ngenxa yedemokhrasi kaloku apha kukho idemokhrasi abantu loo mntu ufanele ukuba angayenza loo nto ayenzayo kodwa ke kule bill ndafika ndaxakeka ndaneento ezintathu ezindixakayo ndaqonda uba sixakene apha ne-political party ezivuka yonke le mihla ezintsha i-independent ezi aziqali ukubakho ngoba zizo-implementwa nje ngoku apha kudala zakho ziyafana nje ne-political party ezi nazo akukho nto ithi xana kukho uphuhliso ziyakwazi uphuhlisa kudala zibakho zikhona nangoku kule ilot ibikho. Ndifuna ukuthi ke apha le nto yale bill iphantse nje kancinci yasiconfuse uba siva sekusithiwa uyafuna okanye akufuni. Zikhona ke izinto esiqonda uba mhlambe ke kwafika ungatsho ukuthi hayi kufanele uba umgaqo ulungiswe phaa naphaya ngamazwi ke apheleleyo Umna ke ndisisiqu andiyisapoti le bill ngoba sisaxakene nento yeepati ezininzi ezingade zenzeke. Bendinako ngeba ndibawela apha eSouth Africa iipati zibe mbini kudibane ezo independent kunye nezinye iipati ke kuthiwe iipati zimbini apha eSouth Africa sizokwazi uzibona uba sibheka phi ngoba ngoku siyasisithi sibheka phaa eleke kusisa kuya kuvuka into entsha eleke kusisa kuya kuvuka sasafarisha ke thina bantu baphuwa ngoba akho nto siyigenayo apha. Into esiyigenayo lingcwaba, siye engcwabeni singakhange sifumane nix, silamba sisokola sililwele eli lizwe ngako konke. Ngoku ufumanisa uba into eza kwenzeka apha uzawusuka umntu noba ngumntu osuka phi ofundileyo aske yena afumane umncono, thina sawuhlala sisifa ubomi bethu bonke. Enkosi, andiyisapoti ibhili.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to the committee and the entire community. My name is Wombagazi. I'm from Joslovo, Ward 41. There is a person who came to brief us about this bill. And in my analysis, I did understand, because of democracy, that any given person with a right can stand as an independent candidate. And I do comprehend. But I do have a concern that we already have a lot of political parties that are emerging every day. For me, this is quite a chaotic situation. I also think that there is nothing new about independent candidates. They have always existed. I'm very confused about the bill. It's very confusing to me. I feel as though I've been coerced to say that I agree or don't agree with this bill while I have pending questions in my mind. I'm saying that as a person that comes from a community that is in dire poverty, that I feel that independent candidates will not assist the situation. If it were up to me, I would say that there must only be 2 political parties in South Africa that we can choose from. I'm saying this because we as poor people are suffering the most as a result of the multiple political parties that are emerging every day of people who are not credible. So I feel that we are in a constant state of perpetual poverty as poor people, and no one takes this into account. And this bill makes me very confused because the issue of independent candidates is that we cannot account for these people. We fought for this country as poor people, for its liberation, and so I believe that it is not fair or just that there must be a constant state of political parties emerging each and every day. This makes me question why these political parties are emerging, because I feel as though we are remaining in a perpetual state of poverty. So as a person, I do not support this bill for the reasons that I have stated. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Nkosi emhlali ngaphambili mandizibulisele kuwe nakwikomiti, izibulisele nakumuntu wonke okhoyo apha. Mna ndingumzukisi wakwaNgqoyiya, uDeputy Secretary wombutho wabahlali uSanko. Mhlali ngaphambili siqaphele into kokubana since 1994 ukuze sithethe nge-good government kukho into ezintathu esizibaluleyo. 1, i-transparency, accountability. Ne-consultation. Now sithi ke ngoku ukubana le bill iye yaphunyezwa zingaze ziphele ezo zinto sizibaluleyo zintathu in good government. So thina ke siyayirejecta loo nto singumbutho wabahlali kaWard 33 we-independence. Okwesibini into okubana singaze sizibhaqe silawulwa okanye sirhulumendwa ngozwi lakhe kweli lizwe. Enkosi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Mzukisi Ngoyiya from Ward 32. I am Secretary of Sanko. Since 1994, we have had a democracy which prides itself in transparency, accountability, and consultation. I believe that this bill will result in a situation where we have no transparency, accountability, and consultation. This is very problematic, noting where we come from as a country, and it will result in us having no good governance. We will end up being led by people who have no regard for people's views and who have no regard or respect for our democracy. I'm saying this comment in relation to independent candidates, and in so saying, Chairperson, I do not support this bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that insight and all of the submissions made. We're going to proceed to the next round. I'm going to start with the MPL, Honorable, because she had a hand up. There were two, I think the guy with the brown jacket. Yes, sir. Can you take the second seat? There was a gentleman behind you. I can't see him right now. I think it was the gray. Is it the guy with the grayish? Yes. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, I see you, ma'am, with the red dress. Can you join the queue? Thank you. You can join them. Okay. Yes, sir, with the red, you can join them. I see someone with a white shirt at the back. Is that not the chief that spoke already? No, it's someone else. Okay. Yes, I can see here in the front. There's one here. Thank you. You can sit down. Right. Is there anyone else on this side? Because I think this seems to be the final round of. Is there anyone else on this side? Yes. Can you please join them? MPL. Can I take you after the last speaker here, so that you don't need to join them? Okay. Yes, sir. You would be the last. Oh, I see two more here. Okay. Can Parliament's support staff just help us? The two people here, can you just keep them on that side? Once the chairs move, you'll put them in, because then we know we don't need to take any more. Yes, sir. Can you please join them? Yes, with a hat. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. You can go there. Right, and that's the final. Thank you. So we're going to end with we're starting with an MPL. We're ending with an MPL. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please also bear with us. If you are making a point that was already raised, already made, you just need to mention it, but don't need to go into detail and explain, because it's said, so that we don't need to repeat ourselves. But I also don't want to suppress anyone. So thank you very much.
Enkosi kakhulu bendinesicelo ndingusihlalo ukuba izimvo onazo sele zithethiwe, siyacela ukuba ungaphindi into esele ithethiwe. Kodwa ndingatsho ukuba abantu mabangazizisi izimvo zabo ngaphambili. Qha siyacela ukuba ungayibeka nje, ungangeni nzulu kuyo ukuba ibisele ithethiwe ngaphambili. Enkosi kakhulu.
Very much, Chairperson. My name is Babalo Lobishe. I'm here to represent the African National Congress in the region of Nelson Mandela. Firstly, I support the bill pending the pending adjustment or amendment on the following 4 issues. Firstly, the ANC supports the PR system as we believe that it covers a lot of transformational requirements. Your gender representation is covered if we use a PR system, and also the geographical spread when it comes to the representation of certain areas which were previously disadvantaged. So we support that. That's point number one. Number two, the problematic long ballot caused by too many independents and parties on the ballot has to be addressed. As I have mentioned that we are supporting pending the correction on this, because we believe that if we have a plethora of parties contesting, we might end up with a ballot paper that has 10 pages. It's going to require more resources to IEC, and it's also going to be more exhaustive time-wastely. It means elections might take us 2 weeks to finish. The third aspect which we would like amendment on is that we believe that independents should compete on the same terms as other parties in terms of the money that is paid per seat, and also the allocation of seat formula should be amended. Number four, there has to be disqualification on cheating, misrepresentation, and manipulation of the system. If any of those that are contesting are found with the above, there has to be a line in the bill that prohibits one from participating if such happens. Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Enkosi kakhulu sihlalo. Igama lam ndingohloniphekileyo ubabalo Lobishe. Ndimele ke umbutho we-ANC apha kule ngingqi yaseGqeberha. Ndimile ke sihlalo apha ndixhasa lo mthetho sihlomelo usayelwayo wezonyulo. Ndinamanqaku ke mane endifuna ukuchaza kuwo into yobana ke kufuneka kubekho uhlengahlengiso kulo mthetho sihlomelo. Okokuqala, siyi-ANC siyayixhasa le nkqubo ye-PRC system, kuba kaloku le nkqubo ye-PR system ixhaswa ukuba kubekho ukumelwa kwabantu ngokwesini. Ngamafutshane ke mababe khona, makubekho umlinganiselo oomama nabo baqukwe kunyulo. Kwakhona ke kukhethwa abantu nangokweendawo zokuhlala, kungakhethwa abantu abakwindawo enye. Okwesibini sihlalo, sinengxaki kuba kaloku uba sinabagqwetha abaninzi, sofumanisa mhlawumbi sinoluhlu labagqwetha abaninzi kakhulu. Loo nto ke yothi ibethe epokothweni kakhulu i-IEC, kwaye nonyulo lungathatha ixesha elide kuba sobe sinabagqwetha abaninzi. Kwakhona ke aba bagqatswa kufuneke nabo babhatale imali efanayo xa bezigqatsela unyulo ngokufanayo namaqela ezopolitiko, kusetyenziswe iformula enye xa kusabiwa izihlalo. Kwakhona uba kukho lowo uthe wabhaqwa mhlawumbi enezenzo zobuqhetseba, kuzonyanzeleka uba anqunyanyiswe kwinkqubo yonyulo. Enkosi sihlalo.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Let me take this opportunity to greet you, Chairperson, and the honorable members of the Parliament, and all the leaders of the community and the residents that are here. I'm Samuel Sehlabaka. I am coming from Kwanabushle. I'm a senior pastor in the church that is called Preeminent Christ Transformation Center. Last year, I contested as an independent candidate under the association that is called Mandela Bay Community Movement. I'm here to stand and say that us as the community, we support the amendment of the bill. Because through our research, we have found out that most of the people, they have lost hope to the organizations that are already existing. And they believe that as the democracy, if we can just summarize, it says that people must govern. So if ever we are limiting the people by the organizations, which people are not even having an interest in them, it means that we are no longer following the democratic system. So we are saying that let's allow the people to vote for the individuals that they are pleased of. Because at the end of the day, it is the people that are residing in the community. It is not the organization. It is the people. So we believe that let us allow the people. But what we are saying that there has to be an accountability in terms of, let's say that people at least must have associations as independent candidates that they are affiliating from, so that whatever that is happening, those associations will be accountable for the independent candidates for the conduct that they are having in the parliament. So we believe we are totally supporting that the amendment of the bill must continue, so that people will have freedom to vote for whoever they see that they can be able to serve their needs. Just to conclude, we have made a research that last year most of the youth have not voted, and I am one of the people who were asking them, and they are saying that the reason they are not voting is because they have lost hope in political parties. So they want people who will stand and say that we'll stand for you and do what you want us to do, so that people may be able, because there are rules and regulations in the political parties that even people, when they're about to vote, they are not being told. But if we are coming together as the residents and say, this is the leader that we want, if he doesn't do right, we are going to demote the leader. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enkosi kakhulu sihlalo. Igama lami ndingu Samuel Sehla Bala. Ndisuka phaya ke kwaNobuhle, ndingumfundisi sihlalo, kwaye kunyaka opheleyo ke ndazi balula nam njengomgqathwa kunyulo njengomgqathwa ozimeleyo. Ndime apha ke sihlalo ndiyixhasa lembono yalomthetho unyulwayo wezonyulo. Into edaba nditsho ke sihlalo zezi zizathu, abantu abasenathemba kwimibutho yezopolitiko, kwaye ke siyakholelwa into yoba uthi umgaqo-siseko abantu bonikwa ithuba lokuba balawule. Masibanike ithuba abantu into yoba bakhethe aba bantu babathembileyo. Siye senza ke uphando kunyaka opheleyo kwa safumanisa uba ulutsha oluninzi khange luvote. Safumaniseka into yoba ulutsha alusenathemba koosopolitiki. Ngoko ke ngokubona ulutsha lufuna ukuvotela abantu abathembekileyo nabanesidima. Ndiyawuxhasa lo mthetho sihlomelo usayilwayo. Nkosi.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Mandisibulisele, let Chair also protocol observe. Igama ngumxolisi wakwamani original chairperson weSANQ up in Nelson Mandela Met. I think one of the key things probably that we just like to brought to the attention of the session is one, that we understood very well that we are in a public hearing today, but we are of the view that the consultation was not properly. As much as we represent this organization, but we've got a broader community, you know, who's supposed to participate on the bill effectively. So that when we talk about strengthening our own democracy, it is those people that, for instance, must be in a position also to defend the same democracy. So we'd like to put that be noted. Secondly, we understand that there's a ruling, all of us, a constitutional ruling in this regard. But I think one of the key things that also would like to share with everybody that those who have managed to approach the court, they approach the court on the benefit of their interest, not of the product. That, from that reality. Because to access the court today, if got court implications. Thirdly, as Sanko, we are also of the view that the challenges that are confronting, our own municipalities, the country as a whole, in terms of service delivery, are a clear indication that in a situation where there's no normality in terms of representation, there are many challenges, especially in the form of your collusion. You won't be in a position to expect our communities are going to get what we call clear basic service delivery to our people. We say probable that the matter must also be extended in terms of consultation beyond 2024. I know it's a ruling, but we must find a way in space to ensure that there ought to be a broader consultation. The Parliament also, equivalent to that kind of a challenge, must be able also to be histed on how do we strengthen the democracy, especially under the current phenomenon of collusion. Because to us is very, very critical. We are sitting with the challenge of collusion. We are coming with the issue of independence at the level of the province, at the national level, with the same tone that we want to strengthen democracy. How do we strengthen democracy at this current level? Those are the underpinning questions that one also needs also to ask. Vis-a-vis your constitutional rights that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights. That if it's about strengthening democracy with the expectation that there's going to be service delivery, what is currently taking place on the ground? Those are the questions that we also need to ask ourselves going forward. Hence, as Sango was saying that given all these glitches that also are facing the very same bill, given also all the challenges that economically are facing our people, we want to ensure that when you go back to your political principles, that there ought to be further engagement, consultation within the bill that, for instance, is supposed to be amended beyond 2024. Because it is by after 2024, we can talk a better language as we're speaking today. I thank you, sir. Based on all the arguments that I have submitted, as Sango, we are totally opposed to the implementation of this amendment bill before 2024. Hence, we are saying there ought to be broader consultation even after 2024.
Enkosi kakhulu sihlalo igama lami ndingumxolisi Mani ndingusihlalo ke weSanko kule ngingqi. Sihlalo ndifuna nje ukwazisa kwezi ndawana zilandelayo. SinguSanko siyakholelwa into yoba khange kube kwaziswe abantu ngokupheleleyo ngale ndibano sinayo namhlanje. Kubalulekile kaloku into yoba uluntu kuba lulo oluchaphazelekayo kufuneka laziswe ngokubanzi. Siyayiqonda ke sihlalo into yoba kubekho isigwebo esenziwe yi-Constitutional Court, kodwa ke siyaqapha into yoba lo mbutho okanye abo elo qela lenza esi siphakamiso kulaa nkundla bebefuna ukuxhamla bona baxhamle ngokweemfuno zabo. SinguSanko sinoluvo lokuba phaya koomasipala ikhona ingxaki, izinto azisafani kwaye ke abarhulumente be-coalition okanye bobumbano abazizisi iinkonzo ebantwini, akho service delivery. Funeka siqinisekise ke kananjalo sihlalo into yoba abantu bayaziswa ngokupheleleyo. Kwaye ke siyafuna into yoba ke lo mthetho osihlomela okanye le bill ingapheleli nje phaa kwi-2024 kodwa kuphinde kubekho ezinye iindibano ezinokuba khona ngaphaya kwe-2024. Siyayikhaba le bill. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. You may proceed. Thank you. And just to mention, I think the previous speaker was talking about coalition government. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson, and welcome to the Honorable Parliamentary Committee that is here, as well as to our leaders, the chiefs around here.
Thank you.
With due respect to Chairperson Wetu Sanko, from the area of Gqeberha, I still love the name Utenek, Tinaha. We are saying we are going to support this amendment for the basic reason that as members of the African National Congress, members of SANCO, we are the ones who initiated one of the most wonderful constitutional acts, constitutional laws in the entire world. We are involved in some mess-ups. We can't hide from that. As the very people who, are wearing the crown of being one of the most creative, parties in the world, Chairperson, we are saying, as SANCO, we are going to keep an eye on the evolution or going forward of this process. We are saying, let the people on the ground wake up. Why should this corruption continue and in front of our eyes? Why should we be misled by a particular individual? Say, for instance, myself, my chairman, would strategically get 100,000 rands, buy groceries, go to a particular ward, where I know that people are, because of my understanding of their, education levels. I go and manipulate those people to vote for me to be the next, councillor or be the next party. Let us wake up as the people of this country. And I am saying, stick with the ANC, revive the ANC, let the ANC be regenerated, and let us wake up and ensure that our legends who are gone, Otatu Mandela, their spirits are still with us. They must understand that people realize what they have messed up with, and let us remove these criminals. And Chairperson, I'm stating it here, I am aware that there are almost over 50 people who have already been sentenced with the approval of the national government, the president, and parliament. They've been already sentenced for being involved in corrupt activities. And I'm saying this amendment bill is saying we respect the Constitutional Act. Let us allow these independent people to come forward. And if the communities do not want manipulation of our system, let them then stick to the ANC, stick to any other minor party, because they're still minor to the ANC, sorry to say it, and let them stick to the ANC and revive your own party from within. Thank you for coming to us. These documents were well drafted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mandibulise usihlalo nabantu abakhoyo apha namhlanje. Igama lami ndingumxolisi mani. Ndisuka eTinarha. Bendifuna ukuthi mna thina bantu bombutho iANC masilungise umbutho wethu.
Sorry? Okay, sorry.
On the left. Okay, apologies. Bendifuna ukuthi thina bantu bombutho beANC masilungise umbutho wethu. Lento izawuncedisa ukubeni kungamane kuvuka imibutho emitsha. Masiyenze lento ukuvuselela amaqhawe ethu aleleyo alwela lenkululeko sinayo namhlanje. Masiyijonge ngemehlo lekhozo lomthetho uyilwayo. Masithi singabantu loluntu silandele lento yenziwa yiParliament ukuze izimvo zethu zithathwe zimanyelwe amalungu eParliament amelwe thina. ndifuna ugxininisa kule ndawo ethi masilungise umbutho wethu sikhuphe abantu abanobuqhophololo abamosha umbutho wethu. Siyawuxhasa lo mthetho. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. Can we just record his name for, just get the correct, for record purposes so that we,
Johnson Kula.
is that correct? Thank you. Thank you very much. You can proceed. Thank you.
Mandizibulisele. Mna ndingupholeka Majikazana. Phuma kumhlaba waseMotherwell kaWard 57. Mna ndiyawuxhasa umbutho kodwa ndingaxolanga ngoba unobangela nditsho kulo nyaka uphelileyo khange bakwazi uvota abantu ngendlela besifuna ngayo thina. Because into eyenzekayo phaya ngeli xesha kufuneke kuvotiwe okanye kuthunyelwa abantu bamabocakisela abantu ngendaba yombutho okanye ngendaba yonyulo, into eyenzekayo umuntu akathethi lanto besive TV okanye ewayilesini ngoba umbutho uthi zinyuleleni umuntu enimfunayo. Into eyenzekayo umuntu ufike pha enze into efunwa nguye. Ithi ke lonto le abantu abaninzi bengakhange bakwazi uvota kaWard 57 kungaxoli yento ebisenziwa ngumbutho pha kaWard 57. Asikaxoli nangoku, singavuya thina noba sinodityanso singuWard 57 sisodwa ngoba asisenamanxeba, asixolanga nangoku. Ndingukholeka Majikazana edolweni.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Koleka Matikazana. I do support the bill for the record, but I want to register that I am very dissatisfied. During the local government elections, we had an experience of people who promised us many things, but they did not deliver on any of our promises. What I want to emphasize the most is that in Ward 57, we ended up actually not even voting for any candidate due to the issues that arose during the local government election. If it were for me, I would ask we please have another opportunity to address the issue that arose during elections in Ward 57. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Greetings, Chairperson of the session, and the members of the Parliament. My name is Ayanda Franz, the Regional Deputy Chairperson of the EFF. I just want to, mine is simple and short. I'm standing here just to support the submissions, the valid submissions that were made by my provincial leader or poster. Maybe just to add 2 items. One is that the independent candidates must also declare where they get funding, just like any other political parties, as we cannot have a different set of rules for them. Second point is that those who contest as individual independent candidates and get higher votes than it is required to get a weight in Parliament must forfeit the remaining votes because they would have been given a clear and equal opportunity and option to contest as a political party. I also want to state that I'm joining the number of speakers here that were saying that they are in rejection of this amendment bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Enkosi kakhulu, mhlali ngaphambili, igama lam nguAyanda Franz, ndingusekela sihlalo we-EFF kwesi sigqeba. Ndiyayixhasa intetho ibisele yenziwe ngusihlalo wethu we-EFF. Ndifuna nje ukugxininisa kwiinto ezimbini. Abagqatswa abazimeleyo nabo mabachaze ukuba inkxaso mali abayifumanayo bayithatha phi na, njengokuba kusenziwa kwamaqembu ezepolitiki. Okwesibini, ndifuna ukugxininisa ukuba abagqatswa abazimeleyo mabafaniswe ncakasane namaqembu ezopolitiko, kungabikho imigaqo eyohlukileyo ehambelana nabo. Ndifuna ukugqibelisa ngokuthi andiwuxhasi lo mthetho. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Hlalo bulisa kumuntu wonke lapha uvuyana kwase award 27 sihlalo I concern yami issue sokolisile before u94 indlela ngayo okunzima noba ngabana singene kwindawo ngendawo eke singene ezimalungelo wethu ifuthi u94 ufumanisa uba ngabana bekukho abanomgogwana pha kwi-homelands apho khona bese undermine besisebenzisa kakhulu kunzima kakhulu kwicala lethu ngokokwam ndithi andisapoti tu le bill sinengxaki kakhulu kuba ezi independent zona ziba nemali egcwele ezipokothweni zazo uba unemali then uyasucceed nansi into ezijongileyo azikho accountable ebantwini egroundini. Enkosi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Vuyani Sidzumo from Ward 27. My concern as it relates to independence, to independent candidates, dates back to pre-1994. Before 1994, there were homelands where we as Black people were forced to live in. These homelands resulted in us having unequal opportunities to the rest of our counterparts as Black people. I do not support this. Independents for me are people, they appear to be people who are only after their own self-interests and not that of the community. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Molweni. Molweni mama baseparlament notata baseparlament. Mna ndingumama uJakavula. Uchairperson weSANCO Ward 56. Ndiyavuya ngokunibona ngokwamehlo, hayi ukunibona eTV. Inokuba namhlanje ndawulala ubuthongo buhlayo. Nanjengentombazana eqoqozelayo phakathi kokuhlala. Engalaliyo egade umbutho wayo okuthiwa iANC. Bama ungazi. Ndinewari kuba ke lento ithethwa into aba bantu bangozimele geqe mabazokuma nabo embuthweni. Ngoba njengokuba xa kwi-elections kubaleka kwale SANCO kuba isaziwa apha ekuhlaleni egroundini. Ibalekela into okubana umbutho wayo mawuphakame uhambe ujonge phambili. Aba bantu bangozimele geqe bayalala njengomhlali besuka apha, bayalala bajonga into okubana bazawuthaska indawo ephina ukuze bafumane amalungu. Bengakhathali uba umuntu ufumene isitulo esiyi-1 epalamente kuba lokhu ufuna laa nto uba atye esuswini uye. Andikwazi ke njengokuba ndingumama ongaka ukudala ibaleka ndiyeke ndingathethi. Ndithethela indawo endihlala kuyo kuthiwa iMotherwell. Endibaleka kusasana ngokuthiwa ndingayekanga and andikaze uyeka ngaphandle ndolala ngomqolo emangcwabeni. Kuba kaloku thina abantu beme elilizwe bakhangasela elilizwe singabona abantu batsala nzima. Kuba abahlohleseka bamela into wani bemesithi hayi umbutho othile awunanyani, umbutho othile uthe utya imali kwamasela kwintoni. Kube ngekho nto injalo, into esiyifunayo thina into yoba umbutho wethu mawuqhube ubheke phambili nanjengokuba ootata uMadiba bazimisa bawumela. Ngo-1912 Simele loo nto thina siyisana ukuba makube right yonke into apha ezantsi ukubheka phezulu zonke izinto zenzeke kakuhle. Ndiyavuya ke ngoku nime lo mgaqo-siseko nuyilayo. Sizawukwazi uthetha ze ningagqibeli sikuza apha emetro. Uwest apha eMandela metro. Ze ningagqibeli sokuza. Sanakwenzeka nawuthi nibuye nibe niphinde nive ezinye iindaba ezingaphezu koku.
You have to wrap up.
Enkosi.
Good morning, Chairperson, and the entire committee, as well as everyone here today. I am Mama Chakavula, the chair of Sanko in Ward 6. I am happy to see you here today in person and not on TV. I think that I will sleep very well tonight. I want to register that I am an active of the ANC in my community. I'm very worried about these independent candidates, as these independent candidates do not do any community. They are only driven self-interest. I'm speaking on behalf of the people of Motherwell, and I will never stop speaking on their behalf, as I'm an activist. The notion that political parties are corrupt and therefore we need independent candidates is neither here nor there. What we need to do is fix our organization, ANC, so that we may become a credible organization in society. I also want to say that please do not be scarce and continue to visit us in Nelson Mandela Bay. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ma. We are also pleased to see you. Thank you very much.
igama ndinguwelile Lungani. Ndiphuma kwilindiwe Dondashe branch kaWard 33 yeSanco. Ndingusihlalo ke khona. Mhlali ngaphambili mandibulise kuwe kuqala namalungu wonke weParlamente nawo wonke abantu abalapha ngaphakathi. Yonke ke into seyithethiwe yiSanco ondizokumela apha ke ndifuna uhambiselana nawe mhlali ngaphambili uthi singaphindi into obithethiwe. Ndizowuxhasa apha egameni leSanco umthetho okhona kwi-constitution sisupporta i-proportional representation kwimibutho yopolitiki. Ndisupporta lo mbutho we-PR eziSanco. Siyawusupporta lo mbutho lo mthetho. Uyona ke mhlali ngaphambili lento ye-independence inzima into yayo. Sihluphekile apha ezantsi ababantu be-independent umuntu uzizela yena seyithethiwe loo ndaba ngaphambili. Asiwuxhasi thina siyiSanco umthetho lo we-independent. Andizoyenza nde. Enkosi, ndiyabulela.
Thank you.
Samariche, my name is Welile Lungani. I am a member of Sanco. I am coming from that branch called Lindiwe Dondashe branch. Chair, I support this PR system because it's working very well. Many Sanco members here have spoken a lot, and I won't repeat what they have said. The independent candidates make things very difficult for the communities. That is why I'm against this amendment bill on independence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wesihlalo yizibulisele kumagosa seParliament ngokubanzi yizibulisele kubahlali. Mna ndinguComrade Justice Diamonds ndisuka kaWard 45 kwanobuhle eGunguluza. Ndiyalibulela hlalo elithuba. Eli thuba kukade ndalifuna mhlawumbi ndingekazalwa esibelethweni sikamama. Kade ndine-question yokuba ngaba le constitution yalapha eMzantsi Afrika kutheni ingaziswa ebantwini abantu begqityelwa. Ndinelo mibuzo ndikhula at the age of 10 years until now ndinalo mibuzo. Ithi ke londo ngekungenjeni ukuba kwangaphambili kwakwenzeke ngolu hlobo yenzeka ngalo. Ngoba kulo Mzantsi Afrika wakuthi ukhona umbutho esizalwele kuwo esiwaziyo oyi-ANC egovernishayo, kodwa yonke lonto leyo ibe ngamampunge kuba kwaphaya embuthweni lowo kuphele kubakho imibutho ephumayo ezimelayo. Isizathu ke soko mhlali ngaphambili yinto yokuba ngaba there's no righteousness, there's no justice system. Ndiyafuna ukuthi mabayekwe abantu abazimelayo ozimele geqe kwangaphambili ozimele geqe zibekhona. If siyakhumbula ootata uSebe oKD Mathanzima ozimele geqe zibekhona. Mabayekwe abantu i-independence zi-exercise zimele inyaniso. Ngoku it's high time hlali ngaphambili liphelile ixesha. Inye into efunekayo emehlweni wenkosi, in the eyes of the Lord, inyaniso kuphela. Zingaphi i-political parties eziphuma ku-ANC nazo azenzi into, asinathemba lazo, zenza the same thing. I-corruption isemile nangoku. Abantu bakuthi bafa belamba if ever sikusaqhutywa ngento yepolitiki. Mna ndiyayixhasa 150 into le bill. Ndifuna ukuthi mayize ebantwini, ize kwezi mpula zikalujaci, ngoba thina sawufa sihlupheka ukuba ngaba kuzawuqhubekeka i-political party kuphumele kuhlele. Ngoba ithi londo, I don't understand umbeka njani u-X into ebonayo into bangaba iyakubulala. We are the victims. We need justice ne-righteousness. Ubulungisa. We need i-political leaders ezingakho semva kwemali. We need political leaders ezine-sympathy. I-political leaders ezinobulungisa manhlali ngaphambili. Enkosi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greetings, Honorable Chair and all protocol observed. My name is Comrade Justice Diamos from Ward 45 in Nobuhle. Chairperson, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. It has been long overdue. I've been longing for this opportunity for Parliament to come here ever since I was 10 years. There are some breakaway political parties that came as a result. They came from the ANC, but they are doing nothing. There is no difference that they are making to the community. And we must take note that the independent candidate existed even in the times of Jebe and Mathanzima and so on. In conclusion, Chair, we need political leaders who are sympathetic and who have justice to do for the community. I thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, sir. I greet you all in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. I am Reverend Gladman Kongwana, a citizen of this country. I'm talking as a citizen, a leader of the community. Therefore, I would like to thank you first and foremost, the Parliament, this opportunity However, the leader is coming from the community. Those leaders are in their organizations. Therefore, I don't support the motion, the amendment for independent. Due to these reasons, we are having a crisis already. Therefore, if a leader is independent in parliament, where the leader will account. Therefore, my understanding is that a leader is deployed to parliament from their organizations. Therefore, to be in parliament is not employment, it's just that period to serve and a service delivery. Lastly, the independent, local independent candidate, I didn't see any fruits from that person locally. How much more provincially and in parliament? It's going to be chaotic because in this country we're having a problem of identity. Even a person can commit a crime, it's very hard to get that person. Therefore, I don't support the motion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Inkosi kakhulu, qale ngaphambili, igama la ndingumfundisi uKhongwana, ndiyinkokheli yoluntu. Sihlalo ndikhaba ngawo omane lembono yokuba kubekho abagqatswa abazimeleyo. Kangokuba sihlalo sihleli sinengxaki ngenxa yaba bagqatswa abazimeleyo. Ukuba masenze umzekelo, uba mhlambi siyabonyula, aba bantu bazokuphendula ntoni ngemisebenzi yabo abayenzayo phaya kwiParlamente. Kwaye ke kuyafuneka uba mhlambi bangakhona, kufuneke baze neziqhamo ezibonakalayo. Kodwa ke aba sibabona apha ekuhlaleni abazi naziqhamo ezibonakalayo. Uba mhlawumbi singabathumela eParlamente okanye emaphondweni, kukangakanani ingaba bangenza ntoni? Kwaye ke kukho ingxaki yoba mhlambi uba umntu wenza ulwaphulo mthetho, sizomazi njani, sokwazi njani ukumtreyisa. Ngoko ke sihlalo andiyixhasi le mbono yabagqatswa abazimeleyo. Enkosi.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Mandibulise eParlamente nabo bonke abathunywa. Ndinguzwelandile wakwaTsotso, ndingumthunywa we-African National Congress ezoceba ka-Ward 53. Nditsho ke ndigxininise ukuthi ndingumthunywa because I'm voted by the people. I-question, xa kuthethwa nge-independent okanye ngomgqatswa ozimeleyo, uthunywa ngubani? Uzawurepota kubani? I-mandate uyithunywa ngubani? Lo mntu, it means whatever into azawuyenza wenza okufunwa nguye. Akho mntu zamthatha accountable ukuthi bese kuthumile because uzimele unguye. Therefore ndiyafuna ukuthi yona ibill asizukwazi uyiphikisa, ipasile, but okwethu nje ezabavoti citizens eSouth Africa kukulumka into yoba singavalelwa zingcuku endlini. Liza kumka ilizwe lethu because everyone ulapha eSouth Africa, some of bane-citizens, siyazibona i-country kwalapha eAfrika ukuthi there are people that they don't consult but they just implement. Therefore, abantu base-South Africa kufuneka babe aware ukuthi enye imithetho pasiswa sithi ezantsi. Asikwazi uya phezulu. Sibhizi ngoku as an organization. We are cleaning ourselves from corruption. We've got the law that said whoever is implemented kwindaba ye-cases, that one must step aside. Therefore, whoever now esizamthatha sithi lo mntu makabe ngumgqatswa ozimeleyo, sawufumana i-challenge ngabavoti be-country. Enkosi.
Enkosi. Sorry, you just want to give us your name again, please? Yeah, just your name. Thank you. Enkosi.
Greetings, Chairperson, the committee, and everyone present here today. My name is Zwelandile Toto. I'm a member of the ANC in Ward 37. I want to emphasize that I am sent here by the people. I am their servant. I have been sent here by them, so I am acting on a mandate that is given to me by the people whom I serve. My main concern about independent candidates is the fact that we cannot hold them accountable. We don't know what their values are or what they stand for. I do understand that we cannot reject the amendment because it has to happen. But please, may we not lose our democracy. I'm saying this as I analyze other African countries in our own continent where democracy is not rife. I am worried that South Africa will lead and become exactly like the other African countries who are currently not enjoying democracy. So I am emphasizing, Chairperson, that in as much as we cannot go back and say that independent candidates cannot contest. But I want to emphasize that can this please happen democratically, and may we please protect our democracy. Thank you, Chair.
Of course. You may proceed.
I'm Bulelani. I am Bulelani Matandra, Ward Councillor for Ward 59 in the area of Marawang. As an ANC member, the African National Congress is in support of the bill with the following amendment that allows independent contestant candidates to have, when they actually want to have support, to make sure that it did not lie to people in terms of promising them jobs, gifts, or anything else. And also, one of the pieces must be added that people have a right to object when they are asked for such. And also, we make sure that independent candidates are held within the same standard that political parties are held when it comes to them qualifying in terms of having a seat in parliament. Further on, adding on that monies that each individual or each political party pay, that money also be paid with the same independent. But as the African National Congress, we don't do amendment, we support the bill.
Thank you.
Molweni, mandibulisa umhlali ngaphambili neqembu ahamba nalo nomuntu wonke olapha namhlanje. Gama lam ndingubulelani Matenzo, ndinguceba wakwa Ward 49. Singumbutho i-ANC siyawuxhasa lo mthetho, kodwa sifuna ugxininisa kwezi zinto ziphambili. Abagqatswa abazimeleyo mababe nenyani ebantwini. Abagqatswa abazimeleyo futhi ngaphezulu koko mabafaniswe namaqembu ezopolitiko xana kugxininiswa kulo mthetho kusithiwa bavumelekile ukuba bazigqatsele ngokuzimeleyo. Kodwa into ebalulekileyo yokuba mabaphathwe ngokufanayo njengamaqembu ezopolitiko, njengokuba bezikhethele nabo ngokokwabo ukuba baza kuzigqatsela ngokwabo enyulweni. Enkosi sihlalo.
Molweni Chair ngaphambili. Igama lami Olona Ncuncuse from Ward 30. Lo mthetho andiwuxhasi kuba ozimele geqe bafika kwezi wadi zethu baqhathe omakhulu notamkhulu babathembise izinto ezininzi. When it comes kucala ukutya, baba nokutya xa kuzavotwa, babathembise abantu abatsha like thina imisebenzi emininzi. When it comes befumene izihlalo zabo abazi babuye kuthi. When it comes yokhalaza kofisini uzacela umuntu hayi mna ndize apha ndinemali zami. Andiwuxhasi lo mthetho. Enkosi.
Greetings, Chair. My name is Olona Ncuncuse from Ward 30. I oppose this notion of independent candidates. Independent candidates sometimes tend to manipulate our grandfathers and grandmothers. They promise them food and so on and so forth. Furthermore, They normally do this practice by promising us as youth jobs, but when they are elected, they don't account to us. I don't support. I thank you, sir. Chair.
Thank you. Next.
Molweni umhlali ngaphambili nesigqeba sakhe ndiyababulisa igama elihle lomfeli nomvukeli wethu Yesu Kristu inkosi. Ndingululama wakwaTeyise, ndingu-organizer kwa-Ward 27 weSanco, ibranch eSanco. Hambi nayo kahle kahle ncam le constitution le bill sawungathi sithetha into enye kuba kodwa umsebenzi omninzi asokwazi uyisusa base niyibekile phambi kwethu. Umsebenzi omninzi kufuneka sisebenzile, isinika uxanduva olukhulu lokuba kufuneka sisebenzile sibheke phambili. Ndipha kwa-27 phantsi kwekhansila ke esebenzayo esentsha encinci usicelo wakwamleve ndithi mandiziveze kule ndawo ukuthi silapha sayibulela banizile apha kuthi sazonibona ngaske lento niyenzileyo ningazibe niphinde niyeke soloko nimane nizothi xa zizawuqalisa ezinto zawuqaleka nizoziqala kunye nathi singabahlali kwenzela into yokuba singakwazi ukuthi simane sihlaba amadlala. Xana niqale nathi zonke izinto zawuhamba ngendlela. Enkosi.
Greetings to the committee. My name is Lulama Jebe. I greet you, Chair, and the committee in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. I am coming from Ward 27 under SASCO. I am an organizer. Chairperson, I don't support this amendment bill. We need to work as a community in order to move forward. Where I stay at Ward 27, we have an energetic councillor, a young guy by the name of Stelo Mleve. We are so grateful, Chairperson, for the committee for coming down to us. We hope that they will keep in touch when they do such initiatives such as this bill. I thank you.
You may proceed.
Mandizibulisele kwi-leadership yethu yaseparlamente nabantu abahamba nabo, ndibulise kwimibutho elapha nombutho wabahlali. Umna ndingunobelungu simama ndihlala
Just,
kawo-30.
sorry, ma. If you just go closer to the mic so that we can hear you.
Ndingunobelungu simama ndihlala kawo-30. Ndingu-organizer kwiSanco. Umna andihambiselani nomgqatswa ozimeleyo. Okokuqala akaparticipate kuzo zonke meetings ezihlalwayo, mhlambi kwinantsika kwi-meetings ezihlalwayo leadership ne bangabuya participate ngoku, iqala ngoku loo nto. Okwesibini, kwiinkonzo zasekuhlaleni uyasokola ukuzifumana. Kufuneke kuhlale ii-parties ezi, ii-leadership zee-parties ezi bangaba bayafuna ukumfaka, baza kumfaka, babayafuna ukunantsika ukumnika ahamba ayosebenza kubahlali. Izigqibo zawuthathwa ngabo kuqala, andule ke ngokufumana mhlambi loo malana ahamba ayolungiselela abahlali.
kulena into yokuba anantsike lanto uzawuripota phi kuqala because kaloku utheni uzimele funeka abe nee-committees zakhe funeka abe ne-branch yakhe abe nee-ward committees abe ne-area committees street committees ukuya ezantsi because akanawusuka phaa ayoripota yena akakwazi uyoripota straight kubahlali so andihambiselani mna noyozimele geqe.
Nkosi.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to you, the committee, and everyone who's present here today. My name is Nobelungu Simama. I am from Ward 30. I am the organizer of Sanko in my ward. I do not support the notion of independent candidates. My reasoning for this is that the independent candidates do not participate in any leadership meetings. Mostly these meetings are set by political parties where they decide on particular mandates that they are then going to infiltrate into the communities. So the fact that the independent candidate does not have a background or a political party that they belong to creates a disadvantage for them because they do not have a place, firstly, where they account, and secondly, where they get a mandate. I feel that in that position, the independent candidate remains largely disadvantaged and cannot execute necessarily their duties due to this. Therefore, this is a serious concern to me, and as the reasons stated above, I do not support this bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And MPL, you will close for us.
Greetings to you, Chairperson, and to everyone who are in the house. Ndiabulisa. My name is Tamara Khanti. I'm the member of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature. I represent a constituency which is Motherwell constituency. I'm the member of the African National Congress. As the ANC, we respect the court of law. Hence, we support the amendment of Electoral Bill. I stand here, Chairperson, to support the Honorable Member Babalwa Lobishe and Councillor Matendra on four approach presented here by Honorable Lobishe. But I will just add and make emphasis on the following. And thank you for being the last person because I have a chance of stealing the time of others. The ANC has always supported a proportional representation system as it is best suited to a country as diverse as ours in terms of race, class, and language. The ANC support option 1 of the Ministerial Advisory Committee as it is contained in the amendment bill. We broadly support it as the best option for implementing the Constitutional Court order. On approach 2, we are saying you need to review the qualification to stand as an independent candidate and as a new party. If you do not make it stricter, we can have thousands of candidates. We emphasize on strictly measures. We propose that new parties who are not yet represented in a legislature or parliament and independent candidates should be able to demonstrate that they have voter support and have some chances of winning a seat. As ANC, we suggest that the threshold should be at least 1/3 of the quota needed for one seat in the previous elections. On approach 3, we propose a 2-stage process where all who meet the full quota for one seat are awarded a seat, whether as parties or independents. Once no one is left, who is left
who is entitled to a seat based on a meeting the full quota threshold must be considered. The remainder seats should be given to the parties that have the highest average of votes per seat won. An independent can obviously only occupy one seat and their surplus vote will be discarded. We're saying any party has surplus votes should have this added to their total and divided by the number of seats already won by them. The party with the highest average will get a remainder seat. This is the only way proportional can be maintained, and we can prevent a situation like we have currently, where many parties with less than 0.25% support still occupy seat. On approach 4, which Honorable Lobisha spoke of disqualifying the cheating, we want to emphasize that a clear process for making objection to signatures of support should be included in the Act. Thank you very much, Chairperson. That's me.
Thank you very much, Honorable MPL.
Molweni nonke, enkosi kakhulu mhlali ngaphambili. Igama lam ndinguTamara Xhanti, ndilimlungu yeParlamente yalapha ePhondweni. Singumbutho iANC siyayihlonipha inkundla. Ngoko sithi siyawuxhasa lo mthetho. Into eyenza ukuba siwuxhase lo mthetho into okubana singumbutho iANC siyihloniphe kakhulu intando yesininzi idemocracy yethu. Ndixhasa izinto esele zithethiwe ngoogxa bam abangooceba kunye nelungu leParlamente besele lithethile apha namhlanje. Kodwa ndifuna ugxininisa kwezi zinto zilandelayo. Sicela kujongwe lo mba wobagqatswa abazimeleyo kuqinisekiswe ukuba kukho imigaqo ekufuneka bayilandele ukuze bakwazi ukuzimela. Ndizama ukuthi ukuba umntu ungumgqatswa ozimeleyo makuqinisekiswe ukuba nyani lo mntu ukhethwe intando yesininzi kuloo ndawo asuka kuyo. Makuqinisekiswe ukuba inani elixhasa lo mntu malibe phezulu kuze akwazi ukukhethwa sisininzi esilapha eluntwini. Mayigade kakhulu lento kuba kaloku sele sinengxaki yamaqembu amaninzi akhoyo apha eMzantsi Afrika. Ngoku lento yabagqatswa abazimeleyo izawudala ukuba kongezeleleke kweli nani sele lilikhulu kakade. So sicela ukuba iParlamente iwugade lomba wokuba ngubani ozokwazi ukuba abe part and parcel ye ballot paper abe khona ekunyulweni. Sicela ukuba ke singumbutho siANC lento igadwe iParlamente. Siyabulela kakhulu kumsebenzi osewenzekile. Enkosi hlale ngaphambili.
Thank you very much. So I'm now going to just give a brief summary on our proceedings and hearings here today, but also to chart a way forward in terms of what the next steps are and how we are going to proceed as the Portfolio Committee and Parliament.
Enkosi kakhulu ngokuba nizinike ithuba nibe kule ndibano. Ngoku ndizokwenza nje isishwankathelo ndinike nomkhombandlela into yoba siyikomiti ngoku sizokuthatha awapha amanyathelo ukusuka apha.
Firstly, let me thank the citizens of our country and the people of Gqeberha for coming out in their numbers and even contributing. We've had valuable submissions that were made here today.
Mandibulele kakhulu ndibambe ngazo zozibini kuluntu lolapha eGqeberha abatheke bathatha ithuba lokuba bazovakalisa ezabo izimvo. Eneneni ke sizamkele kakhulu sizibonile into yoba zinomthamo kwaye zixabisekile ziyevakala.
We had quite a bit of submissions that were presented, and I just want to highlight some of the commonalities that were made by some of the individuals.
sibe nezimvo ezininzi kodwa ke ndizokuchaphazela ndizothi gqaba nje kwezithe zagqwesa.
There is a serious concern by residents, citizens, and particularly Sanko around accountability of independent candidates and even the current form of independence at local governments and how chaotic it has become and how difficult it is to govern in municipalities.
Kukho isankxwe nesikhalo esisuka ke kwiqela lesanko esithi ke aba bagqatswa abazimeleyo abakwazi ukuphendula ngemisebenzi yabo abekho accountable. Kwakhona ke napha koorhulumente basemakhaya kubakho ingxakana kuba akukwazi ba inkonzo zihambe ngenxa ke yengxaki ezikhoyo phaa koba masipala.
And the common word that keeps coming up from different participants is the word accountability. I think most of them have touched on the accountability that independent candidates will have. Who do they account to and how will they account?
Eneneni ke igama elalavela leli lithi accountability ngolasemzini. NgesiXhosa ke lezama ukuthi ke abantu abangabagqatswa abazimeleyo kuyafuneka into baphendule ngemisebenzi yabo xa bathe banikwa uxanduva kulawulo.
There was also concern, I think, particularly from Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, and they used examples about how the council itself is not able to pass certain budgets because of the number of smaller parties and coalitions that exist. And their concern is that if at a local level there are these challenges, how much worse it's going to be at provincial and national level.
Eneneni ke kwisankxwe esithi ke kulo masipala weNelson Mandela Bay uhlahlo mali olubhekiswe ebantwini alikwazi ukupasiswa kuba kaloku kuba khungquzulwano kuba kukho abarhulumente bobumbano coalition kube khona lamaqela aligcuntswana enza kube nzima into ba ezinkonzo ziye ebantwini.
There was very passionate submissions and presentations that said they don't understand the need for an independent. They didn't see a need for there to be an independent candidate, and that all persons who contest any space should be through political parties.
Kubekho ke nabo abathi hayi bona bayayikhaba ngawo omane imbono yokuba kubekho abagqatswa abazimeleyo. Bathi bona uluvo lwabo abagqatswa abazimeleyo mabathunyelwe besuka kumaqela abo ezopolitiko.
There was also independent submission made that constituencies should not be too big, that it should be an open system. There should also not be any votes that are going to be lost in terms of access of votes, and also the concern about succession of candidates and filling of vacancies, who replaces them. And there was mention of the private members bill in reference to the Lekota bill.
Kwakhona ke kubekho naloyo wabhekisa ke kwesasiphakamiso sazwa njengokuba iLekota bill kuyafuneka nayo iqatshelwe. Kwakhona ke kwakhona esiphakamiso ke esibhekiselene ke kwimiba ke yokuphendula.
There was also a submission that said there should be a total electoral form, and that there should be greater accountability. In fact, we need a new electoral system more than just having to include independence.
Kwakhona ke kuthiwe kufuneka kubekho ke inkqubo entsha yezonyulo sitsho eso siphakamiso ingabi ngabagqatswa abazimeleyo nje kuphela kodwa ke kubekho inkqubo entsha yezonyulo nothi ke mhlambi kuqhutywe yona kwelinye icala.
The submission was also that it shouldn't just be a ticking box or window dressing, but it should actually be one that accommodates for the Constitutional Court ruling.
Kwaye ke kuthiwa ke kufuneka kubekho inkqubo apha ezothi ithathele ingqalelo esi sigwebo sinikwe inkundla yomgaqo siseko kungathikiswa nje ibox kuphela.
On the contrary, there were those who did not support the bill and rejected it out, just clearly, and outlined that the IEC and Parliament is not ready to run this process.
Kubekho ke baye bayikhaba ngawo omane esi siphakamiso salomthetho wozonyulo besithi ke i-IEC ayikabi nawo amandla wokuba isingathe umba onje kwaye neParlamente ayikakulungeli into yokuba iba nale nkqubo intsha.
And that the bill as it stands in its current form does not support our democracy, and hence they felt that we should not proceed with it.
Kuthiwa ke lo mthetho usayilwayo wezonyulo awuyixhasi inkqubo yentando esininzi sitsho isiphakamiso.
It was also presented that independents must have a higher threshold to participate, and that those who are registered and eligible to vote or registered voters should be the only ones that are allowed to pledge support. Also that the deposit for candidates must be the same as political parties.
Kuthiwa ke imali ezothi ke igaywe yokuba bangenela unyulo abagqatsa abazimeleyo mayifane nemali ethi idepositwe ngamaqela ezopolitiko kwaye namanani abavoti azosuka kubagqatsa abazimeleyo mayifane nakumaqela ezopolitiko.
What was also clear is that independents should be treated the same as political parties, as they are contesting the same space for the same seats, and hence the criteria should be the same.
Kuthiwa ke abagqatsa abazimeleyo kufuneka nabo bathathwe ngokufanayo namaqela ezopolitiko kuba kaloku bazigqatsela izihlalo ezifanayo ngokufanayo namaqela ezopolitiko.
There's also been support for the amendment bill in its current form, but there was concern or the following was raised, that the PR system, the current PR system is supported, and that also the option 1 of the ministerial committee is supported.
Kuxhaswa ke nalembono ye-PR system kuba isebenza kakuhle kakhulu kwaye ke nalambono yoba kubekho ikomiti ezokucebisa umphathiswa iyaxhaswa nayo loo nto.
There was also a submission or call for the review on the qualifications to stand as an independent or a new party, and that those new parties who are not yet represented in parliament or legislation should be able to show their support of at least 1/3.
Kuthiwa ke funeke kujongwe ke imfanelo kanye manqanaba wokuba umntu abe ngumgqatso nothi ke angene eparlamente kwaye ke namaqela angekangeni eparlamente kufuneke noko abe nomthamo ongapha kwesiqingatha kwabavoti ukuze bangenele kwisikhundla zokuba babe pha eparlamente.
In respect of seat allocation, there should only be a 2-step approach, and that the remainder of votes and seats should be allocated to political parties, as well as when a independent meets the threshold, the votes should then be discarded.
Can you repeat that?
In terms of the seat allocation, there should only be a 2-step approach.
Xa kusabiwa ke izihlalo kufuneke kusetyenziswe inkqubo endidi mbini.
And that in respect of independence, once they reach a threshold, the balance of the votes should be discarded.
Xa ke befikelele kumthamo othile kufuneka kujongwe ke ngoku into yoba ingaba bangathathwa kusini okanye mhlambi babekelwe ecaleni.
It was also mentioned that independents should be disqualified if there's any fraudulent activities or cheating.
Uphinde kwachaza into uba mhlamba abagqatsa abazimeleyo bafumaniseke into yoba banezenzo zobuqhetseba kufuneke ke banqunyanyiswe kule nkqubo yokuvotelwa.
And lastly, that the criteria must be clearly set out, and there should also be a line in the bill that says or calls for disqualification.
Funeka kufakelwe isolotya ke kulomthetho hlomelo ozothi ujongane nabo abangenamfanelo zokuba bavotele babe ngabagqatsa abazimeleyo.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of our 3 days in the Eastern Cape.
Sifikelele ke kumjikelo wokugqibela apho ke sesanendibano ezintathu silapha eMpuma Koloni.
And we want to assure the citizens of the Eastern Cape that all of your contributions made over the last 3 days have been valuable and will be considered.
Sifuna ukuniqinisekisa ke bemi baseMpuma Koloni into yobana onke amagalelo enu eniwenzileyo kwezi ndibano sibe nazo sizokuwathathela ingqalelo.
And so the process and the way forward is that all of the submissions made from the public hearings, remember I said that our last hearing takes place next week in the Western Cape. And once we have completed with those hearings, we will then compile a report that will be brought before the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs for deliberation and discussion.
Nanjengoba benditshilo ke ngethuba ndivula into yoba sizoba nomjikelo wokugqibela ozokuba phaya eNtshona Koloni. Xa sesigqibile ke ngaloo nkqubo leyo siyikomiti sizokudibanisa zonke iziphakamiso nezimvo ezivakaliswe apha sidibanise ke ngoku inhloko siyikomiti size nomkhomandlela.
Thereafter, the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs will make a recommendation to Parliament, and the bill will then be debated in the National Assembly.
Emva koko ke ikomiti yezasekhaya izothi ke inike isiphakamiso okanye isigqibo esithathileyo eParlamente ize ke ngoku iParlamente okanye indlu yomthetho wesizwe iNational Assembly ixoxe ke ngoku ngalomthetho osayilwayo uba kuthiwani na ukuya phambili.
It will then be voted on, and remember that we have two houses of parliament. We have the National Assembly and we have the National Council of Provinces. So it also will have to be sent to the NCOP, and if they see a need for further consultation, meaning that they have to come back and continue further public participation and consultation, then they will also do that at the level of the NCOP.
Into ezokwenzeka ke bahlali into bana ke emva kuba kuxoxiwe iParlamente ngalomthetho osayilwayo kuzwa kuvotwa kwaye ke ngoku uba kuvotiwe ugqithiselwe kwi-NCOP nokhumbula ke bemi balapha eGqeberha into ba umgaqo-seko unika iParlamente into bana ke unezindlu ezimbini, i-National Assembly ne-National Council of Provinces. Uba i-National Council of Provinces iyabona into ba kusafuneka kuphinde kubekho ezinye indibano ingaqhuba nangolo hlobo.
And it is only after the completion of that processes will the president then sign, and then the bill will come into effect.
Ungathi ke ngoku emva kwenkqubo ye-NCOP kuthathwe isigqibo abe ke ngoku umongameli uyakwazi ke ngoku awutyikitye lo mthetho sihlomelo ube ngumthetho opheleleyo.
We want to thank you as the community. We want to thank you as members of the legislature. We want to thank all of the traditional leaders, chiefs that are here, councillors that are present, citizens, honorable members, parliamentary staff, support staff, communications. Thank you very much for being with us in the Eastern Cape over the last 3 days. And thank you for also being with the team over the last 2 weeks. This brings us to an end of our public hearing, and this meeting stands adjourned.
Sifuna ukunibulela noko kusuka kwinkosi zomthonyama umalungu eParlamente ephondo abe phakathi kwethu. Sibulele kakhulu ke nakubasebenzi baseParlamente nabo ke bathathe iveke ezimbini sihamba sishutshatshutsha amaphondo elizwe. Siyanibulela nonke inhlanganiso iyachithakala.
Thank you very much. For those of you that are traveling back home, travel safe. Thank you.
Inkosi kakhulu nihambe kakuhle.